Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. This is Rob here at Smirking Gun Reviews, and tonight we're going completely no frills, doing it from my bedroom to talk about Capone, a movie that I would have definitely seen in the theater if things weren't the way that they are. Capone stars Tom Hardy and is directed by Josh Trank, the guy that everybody was talking about a few years ago. Like in the next big thing. After Chronicle, the guy was basically sounding like he had deals coming out of the wazoo. And then came Fan Four Stick, and the rest is history. I looked at his credits and I was like, holy shit, for a guy that was on the cusp right after Chronicle, everything went straight down the tubes for a while. And so I didn't even know that he directed this movie until I saw his names in the credits and went, why does that name sound familiar? And started looking it up and I was like, holy shit, this was the guy. This was the next big guy. And now he's making this movie with Tom Hardy about Capone's last year of his life. And I mean, I was already in when I heard Tom Hardy and Capone. But this movie is, I loved it. I loved it. This is definitely one of the most interesting movies I've seen in a while. It does a fantastic job of uh, immersing you in the headspace of Alphonse Capone in let's see, like I think this is like 1947 or 46. Some of this is in 46 and 47. And how he Al Capone contracted syphilis like when he was a teenager, and over the years it ate away at him so badly that he died when he was 48 or 47, something like that. And that was the first thing that I had to remind myself was Capone, man. When you really look into the story, he's this bigger than life figure. And when I think about him, I think ages of time gone by that this guy, like he's the way that the stories are told, you'd think that his crime span was like decades. But really it was only 7 years. And he went to jail at 33. So like for those of you that grew up like me with the Untouchables, you know, De Niro didn't look like no 33 young man. And so I always thought of Capone as like a kind of an middle-aged gentleman, older gentleman, pushing 50s kind of guy who then went to jail, then let the syphilis eat at him, and then died in Florida, which was another really interesting thing because I never learned about the whole thing about him living down in Florida until uh, I'd say in the early 90s. I read an article and saw a picture about Capone in Florida, and I was just like, wow, I did not know that. And it was one of those memories and those ideas of like, what was it like in those last years of being down there in Florida, just chilling out? I mean, Capone basically, he escaped justice, really. He went to jail for tax evasion, but they let him out because his illness was so bad that they basically were like, and so he got to live out his days. Now, here's the thing. I mean, this really shows you what having neurosyphilis would be like. And Capone's life was not fun uh, after, he went to jail. After Capone went to jail, it all went downhill physically and mentally for that guy. And so it's just a fascinating story to historically, from a historical standpoint, it's fascinating if you really dig that stuff, which I do. Um, the story is great from a psychological standpoint and from a study of what neurosyphilis looks like. This is a hard watch for some people, I'm going to assume, because they're really going for it here. There's a good chunk of this movie that you question anything you're seeing as being reality as far as to it pertaining. I'm trying to think of any scene that would really be safe from saying that it might not have happened, and I can't think of one. This entire movie had the potential of basically being a fiction inside of Al Capone's head. And there's a great deal of sections in this movie that deal with that look at things. From Al's perspective, everything is happening, but it might not be happening, but it's a lot of it's not happening. And so Hardy just kills it. You really buy, like, because forget about him being Al Capone, right? Just forget that. Selling the whole neurosyphilis idea and then saying, okay, now your character has neurosyphilis. Now, okay, that character's name is Al Capone. And so you got to throw that disease on top of that level of a character, that archetype. And Tom Hardy just kills it here as the guy that's still, it's like a zombie version. Like if you've ever seen like Marvel zombies or DC lately, the newest DC zombies thing, where like a character is the character but a zombie, and so you can see remnants of the hero or the character, you in there, but it's all mutated and disgusting, and it's barely recognizable in the what it is anymore. And I feel like that's what the neurosyphilis has done to Capone in this movie, and it's just a fascinating watch. It's also got a great supporting cast with a really surprising role for Matt Dillon in this movie, who I've always really liked. Kyle MacLachlan as a doctor with like an ulterior motive. Uh, but there's a lot of ulterior motives in this movie because one of the main subplot in this movie is the search for the $10 million that Capone, hid. And in reality, it was never recovered. And in this, it's just kind of giving you kind of a Tarantino-y alternate history look at some of this stuff. And at times, really going gonzo. The third act of this movie goes bananas for a while. And it literally takes you to the edge of, is this happening or isn't this happening? Where you even want to know, is this happening? And that's all I can say is that Trank directs a heck of a movie here. It's a really good script. Performance-wise, from Tom Hardy, this is Oscar-worthy for sure. Linda Cardellini is also amazing in this movie as his wife, May. Linda Cardellini has been killing it a lot lately. She's been killing it for me for a long time, ever since Freaks and Geeks, y'all, Freaks and Geeks. She's been doing it for me that whole time, but she kills it too, and she's definitely award worthy in this movie as well. There's a few supporting characters besides Kyle and Matt Dillon. Um, Noel Fisher from Shameless is in here as one of his sons. He's really good in this. And Sopranos, he'll never get away from this, man. He was only in season one of The Sopranos, but Al Sapienza as his other son in here is really good as well. You can rent this at Amazon for $10, or you can buy it for $14.90 for 15. If you're a real big Tom Hardy fan or a history fan, definitely just buy the motherfucker. Because you're just spending $5 more if you know you're gonna like it. If you aren't sure, but you're still really curious, definitely rent it. I bought this thing because I love Tom Hardy, and now that I know that Josh Trank directed it, and I'll be looking out for more of his stuff. But I highly recommend this movie. It's only an hour and 40 minutes long, so it's a pretty good clip. But while you're stuck in it, you're stuck in it. And it feels a little bit longer than it is. And there's a couple of parts that I think it could have trimmed down. But otherwise, this was a great at-home purchase for something. But I really would have seen it at the movies. This is definitely this is like an October movie in May, and that's crazy. But I'm glad to see it, and I hope you guys liked it too. So if you like this review, please hit the like button, comment, share, subscribe, hit the bell for all notifications. Otherwise, you can find me on Twitter at reviews_gun. We'll be back with more reviews at another time. Have a great night.